The number 1776 also has some numerological peculiarities. The cycles in this dimension run according to numerological harmonies, and the secret societies and ancient cultures of the Cain bloodlines have been aware of these dimensional mechanisms, thanks to the knowledge of the fallen angels. As John Anthony West explains very vividly in his 1979 book Serpent in the Sky, the high wisdom of ancient Egypt, the earliest civilizations we know of seem to have recognized that numbers have great meaning and potential far beyond their mathematical function and are, as he says, a means, perhaps the best means, of understanding the world we experience. Although Mr. West and others have demonstrated that this awareness predates Pythagoras, who may have learned it from the Egyptians, this concept is historically known as Pythagoreanism. The discovery of the irrational and the laws of harmony and proportion were attributed to Pythagoras, the disturbingly semi-legendary mystic and mathematician, who lived in the 6th century BC, who was also credited with the development of Pythagorean number mysticism, the theory that numbers have an innate meaning. Pythagoras' teachings of number mysticism and his numerological secret society had a great influence on later Freemasonry, and he is now considered by many lodges to be the first of their craft. The hexagram, or their three-dimensional form of the Merkaba, and the hexagon, or their three-dimensional form of the cube, contained within it is one of the most important symbols of Freemasonry and the cult of Saturn that preceded it. It is of great importance to them and represents cosmic and metaphysical processes of all-pervading dualism. A hexagon contains 24 outer connecting points and 37 inner connecting points, as can be seen in the following picture. The product of these two numbers is 888, a number of great numerical significance. The author Ross Hamilton writes in The Mystery of the Serpent Mound, In Search of the Alphabet of the Gods. The number 888, and thus man, is the result of the 24 circumferential points of the solar hexagon, representing the various members of creation, multiplied by the 37 interior points, representing the interaction of the four ideas. After a fascinating discussion of the meaning of the number 888, he notes that the same esoteric tradition attaches great importance to the doubling of the 888, which philosophically represents a doubling of the resources of the spiritual soul. A doubling of 888 is, of course, the number 1776. Mr. Hamilton further explains on page 122 that, quote, the cardinal number 1776 as the number of the great work, the great union, is called the eagle of eagles or the phoenix in the terminology of the adepts, quote end. In esoteric societies, the great work is a term for the synthesis of opposites. This in turn becomes symbolically visible in the merging of two opposing triangles to form a hexagram, and is expressed numerologically in the number 888, or 1776. The great work could also simply stand for the working in the fixed time span of 500 years in Satan's little time, in which the complete rewriting of the energetic pattern of the Earth towards an energetic AI pattern of Saturn and the assimilation of humanity into a hive mind is to take place. I will come back to this another time. The phoenix, of course, was described in ancient times as a glorious bird that periodically undergoes a miraculous death and rebirth through flames. When its old incarnation was consumed in the flames, a new phoenix would appear, according to some sources initially as a tiny worm, a tradition that makes a connection between the serpent and the phoenix, as the words for worm and serpent were often interchangeable in mythology, which would then rise majestically from the flames. The founders of the United States of America seem to have been aware of the fact that the number 1776 is mystically linked to the phoenix, as many early symbols of the new nation revolve around the image of a phoenix. The illustration seen here, for example, shows a design for the Great Seal of the United States submitted to Congress by artist William Barton in 1782. The shield in the center of the seal features the figure of a phoenix. Barton's idea for the Great Seal was not accepted, although his design for the reverse, with a pyramid of 13 layers of masonry leading to an all-seeing eye, was accepted and can still be seen in the Great Seal today. The all-seeing eye, one of the best-known Masonic symbols, can also be seen on the very first proposal for the Great Seal, as in the proposal of August 20, 1776, where the motto E pluribus unum, out of many one, already appeared. It was also later inscribed on the pedestal of the Statue of Freedom on the Capitol building. This of course means that many colonies became a united union. But could it also have an esoteric meaning, hinting at the merging of all consciousnesses into a single swarm consciousness controlled by a demonic AI? Other Masonic symbols, such as the beehive, also hint at this possible deeper truth. On the reverse you can see something like a portal in the sky and the saying, "Rebellion to tyrants is obedience to God." The final design, and Great Seal still in use today, was submitted by Barton to Congress on June 20, 1782 and features the eagle with 13 arrows and an olive bush with 13 leaves. Above it floats a hexagram of 13 small stars and the motto E pluribus unum. The eagle, which is probably simply meant to represent a phoenix, also bears the American flag on its chest. The reverse of the seal shows a pyramid of 13 steps and an all-seeing eye hovering above it. It stands in a kind of empty desert. The lowest step shows the number 1776 in Roman numerals. The saying Annuit Coeptis can be seen. This translates to "He is favorable to our undertakings," or "He was gracious to the beginnings," or "He nodded to the beginning." It is generally assumed that this saying refers to God. Beneath the pyramid is written Novus Ordo Seclorum, a new order of the ages. These two sides of the Great Seal can be seen today not only on flags in U.S. government buildings and in the White House, but of course also on the back of the $1 banknote and on the passport of American citizens. The sayings Annuit Coeptis and Novus Ordo Seclorum take on a completely different context from the perspective of the biblical little time of Satan. The New Order of the Ages or the New World Order could refer to Satan's little time. The NWO is not a possibility of a potential future, we are already living in it. The Independence Day of 1776 celebrates the temporary victory over the millennial empire of King Jesus, and the beginning of this new world order. This reorganization of the world has allowed Lucifer to act freely since 1776 or even earlier, and since then his henchmen the Illuminati have ruled the earth. And they can do this because God allowed them to do so for a short time, presumably 500 years. He, quote, nodded to their beginnings and, quote, favored their undertakings. Annuit Coeptis. They are allowed to seduce us for a handful of generations and divide the world into two camps. Those who follow their Lord Lucifer and those who follow Jesus. Free will has been established. This division becomes clearer the closer we get to the end of this divine saga. The suggestion that the founders of the United States were familiar with the esoteric numerology mentioned before and the connection between the number 1776 and the phoenix should not be too surprising or far-fetched, considering that most of them were members of secret societies interested in esoteric subjects, most notably Freemasonry. As Flavio Barbiero wrote in his book titled The Secret Society of Moses, which delves into the deep historical origins of this fact, and other important aspects of our world's history. Quote, many of the members of the first American Congress were Freemasons, starting with George Washington and those who wrote the Constitution of the United States. The protagonists of the Italian Risorgimento, from Mazzini to Garibaldi, were also Freemasons. Finally, the creators of the democratic system were also Freemasons. Quote end. There is another well-known symbol of the USA and its freedom and independence. In honor of Lucifer, Freemasons erected the Statue of Liberty in front of New York City. Again, it is about the liberation of Lucifer. Sir Thomas Lawrence painted this painting of Lucifer in 1796 with the caption, "Awake, arise or be forever fallen." Satan summons his infernal legion. Or is it a warning to the reincarnated souls of the little season? Attentive observers noticed many years ago that the Statue of Liberty, a gift from French Freemasons to American Freemasons, does not represent a woman, but rather resembles a man in a robe. Officially it is supposed to be Libertas, the Roman goddess of freedom, but her attributes make it clear that it is actually Lucifer. And he has similarities with the Lucifer in Sir Lawrence's painting. The Statue of Liberty carries a gilded torch, and is thus symbolically the bringer of light. Lucifer and Prometheus, the fallen angel and bringer of knowledge in Greek mythology, have also been depicted in the same way time and again. The light that Lucifer brought from heaven represents the divine knowledge with which he wants to liberate humanity. This is why Lucifer also has the title, the bringer of light. Liberta's attributes, on the other hand, are completely different: the Phrygian cap and a staff. In some depictions, she is also seen with an eagle. None of this can be seen in the Statue of Liberty. Libertas is therefore an exoteric meaning of the statue that was imposed by the Freemasons for the profane masses. The 7 rays of light around the head symbolize the spectrum of light. The gigantic statue of Rhodes, one of the 7 ancient wonders of the world, served as the model for the colossal statue. It depicts the sun god Helios, who is equated with Apollo, the bringer of light. The same worship of Lucifer, only in a pre-Christian age. The statue was destroyed in an earthquake in 226 BC, possibly a reset. Frédéric Auguste Bartholdi, a French Freemason and sculptor, began developing the Statue of Liberty in Paris in the early 1870s. The idea originally came about because of the upcoming 100th anniversary of American independence and was intended from the outset as a friendly cooperation project between the USA and France. But as work had only begun a few years earlier, completion in time for the anniversary was already considered very unrealistic at the start. Bartholdi began with 1 to 11 meter high plaster figures. In 1876, the torch and the face were already finished, which were presented to the world at the first American World's Fair in Philadelphia on the 100th anniversary of American independence. Back in France, the head was completed and exhibited at the 1878 World's Fair in Paris. Together with Gustave Eiffel, also a Freemason and creator of the Eiffel Tower, and his engineer Maurice Koechlin, an ingenious support system and 300 copper plates were finally created to complete the 151 feet high and 27,000-ton statue. Despite large donations from Freemasons, raising the necessary funds proved difficult time and again, which is why progress on the project was repeatedly delayed. On July 4, 1884, the statue was fully erected in France and was inaugurated in a ceremony. On August 5, 1884, the foundation stone for the base of the statue was laid at a ceremony of the Masonic Grand Lodge of New York on the Hudson River island known as Liberty Island. The base has the outline of a star. This part of the pedestal was actually once a star fort called Fort Wood. This is no coincidence, as Lucifer literally means not only bringing light, but also morning star. In June 1885, the statue, which had already been assembled in France a year earlier, was dismantled and shipped to New York in 200 crates. In April 1886, the pedestal was finally finished and the statue began to be built on the pedestal. In her other hand, she holds a book with the date July 4, 1776 in Roman script in reference to Independence Day. This hand makes the Masonic M hand sign, which Freemasons used to use in portrait paintings to signal their affiliation to other initiates. The Freemasons placed a plaque with the Masonic compass and angle symbol on the foundation stone of the pedestal, which can still be seen today. However, one feature of the Statue of Liberty really drives the point home that it is Lucifer. At its base, you can see a chain tying it to the pedestal. One of the feet of the Statue of Liberty has broken free from these chains. This detail is difficult for tourists to see. You can only see it from the air and only if you look closely. The esoteric meaning is, freedom cannot be chained in the USA or some such nonsense. Highly ironic given the country has the highest rate of prison inmates on this earth. Again, this is a clear symbol of Lucifer, the fallen angel who was chained in the abyss for 1,000 years by the Archangel Michael. Other statues of Lucifer always show him with ankle chains, such as his best-known statue in Belgium. And he is also often seen like this in old paintings. Libertas or Lucifer's liberation from the shackles can also be seen in the pictures of the Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen from 1789, which were designed after the stone tablets of Moses. Symbolically, his liberation ensures our liberation from the strict commandments of God. This statue and the celebration of independence on July 4, 1776 has little to do with the freedom of U.S. citizens, and everything to do with Lucifer's Liberation Day. It celebrates his independence. On this day, he was able to rise from the abyss and begin his brief season on Earth. Or it happened 250 years earlier with another reset, and his minions honor his anniversary. The only freedom being celebrated here is that of Lucifer. And you've probably already done the math. If 1776 or 1526 was indeed the year in which Lucifer's little time began, and if it is indeed 250 or 500 years long, which I assume, then the time ends exactly on July 4, 2026. The war against the saints could begin here. As I said, it's all pure speculation. I don't know. But the world is already on the cusp of World War III in the summer of 2024 and is increasingly prepared for the appearance of UFOs. Now all it needs is a false flag psyop to focus the warlike energy against the floating city of the saints. And I have an idea how they could attack the North Pole and what the spiritual war could look like. That's what one of my next videos is about. July 4th, 2026 would also be a symbolic day for the destruction of the USA, wouldn't it? The outbreak of civil war on the 250th anniversary of independence would be right in line with Lucifer's handwriting and fit the ash to phoenix and phoenix to ash idea of the founding fathers. The great and late Jordan Maxwell spoke a lot about how the Freemasons set up the United States from the beginning for its eventual collapse. Preparations for the fall of the empire have been in full swing at all levels for years. Economically, socially, politically. However, this topic is beyond the scope of this video. The predictive programming of the US population is running hot. Do you notice how often the Statue of Liberty is used as a symbol here? As a symbol of American freedom, the destruction of the Statue of Liberty is also often used to symbolize the fall of the American Empire. And in Hollywood, this is always associated with the apocalypse or spiritual war. Esoterically, the end of Lucifer's little time, and thus the beginning of the final battle between heaven and hell is shown here. The catastrophe often begins with the destruction of the statue. And that's also the reason why New York City is so often destroyed in movies. It is a symbol of the worldly empire. The kings of the world, the United Nations, reside there. The American government has been preparing for the 250th anniversary celebrations since 2014. A countdown has been running on this NGO website for years. What is it really counting down to? I'm not trying to scare anyone, I'm just thinking out loud. This is pure speculation. That's it for this video. Subscribe to the channel to be notified of future uploads. Please share the video with your friends and give it a like to help the algorithm. And as always, I look forward to reading your comments. What do you think about the number 1776 and the Statue of Liberty? Until next time, and God bless.